If you watch my channel with a degree of regularity, you'll know that I'm a big fan of Dwyer and his YouTube channel. I recommend everyone subscribes to it and watch Richard Dwyer's boxing videos. Big fan of the guy, big fan of the stuff he puts out. And I agree with Dwyer on some of his more controversial viewpoints. I agree with him, for example, when he poses questions on Gennady Golovkin. I agree with him when he poses questions on Manny Pacquiao. I agree with him with his viewpoints on Tony Thompson. I agree with him with his viewpoints on Deontay Wilder. The list goes on. But I have to take issue with his recent video on Lucas Browne versus Ruslan Chagaev. Now let me start by saying that to an extent I still agree with Dwyer. I think Ruslan Chagaev is a faded fighter. I don't think he's got much to offer at the upper echelons of the heavyweight division. And I believe, on the balance of probabilities, Lucas Browne is going to beat Chagaev. And I believe that Lucas Browne will become the WBA regular champion. Putting that to one side, I wanted to talk about some of the comments that Dwyer made about Lucas Browne. Dwyer described him as an athletic fighter, a fighter who could move, a fighter who could move his body, move his legs, a fighter with a jab, a fighter who can carry his hands low and flick out a jab at times that resembles Roy Jones. For me, Dwyer's gone a bit too far on this occasion. There's one point in the video where he says, look at what Lucas Browne did to Richard Towers. Can someone point out the difference between Richard Towers and Deontay Wilder? And to be fair, Richard Towers and Deontay Wilder have the same physique. They kind of fight with the same style. They're both upright, rigid, tall, lanky fighters who use a jab and a long 1-2. They're both power punchers. However, Deontay Wilder is a whole different level to Richard Towers. And I'm a Deontay Wilder skeptic. But let's be honest, Richard Towers would be lucky to last a round or two with Bermane Stiverne, whereas Deontay Wilder just pretty much whitewashed Bermane Stiverne. But my thoughts run deeper than this. If you look at Lucas Browne's best performances, yes, he's beaten a few unbeaten fighters, the likes of Richard Towers, the likes of Andre Rudenko. But looking back on those fights now, how good were they? Were Richard Towers and Andre Rudenko ever top 30 heavyweights? Were they ever even top 40 heavyweights? Who was the best person they'd actually beaten in their unbeaten streak? For my money, Hughie Fury just beat Andre Rudenko in a much cleaner, more advanced fashion than Lucas Browne. In that fight, Lucas Browne didn't show the fitness, the stamina, the technical pedigree, or the defence that Hughie Fury showed. For me, Lucas Browne, and I appreciate what Dwyer says about his MMA background, but for me, Lucas Browne does not have athleticism. He is not light on his feet. To me, it's quite the opposite. When I see Lucas Browne, I see him slowly plodding forward in a manner that resembles a double-decker bus stuck in traffic. The guy is solid. The guy is there or thereabouts, a top 20, top 25 heavyweight. And he clearly possesses a good heart, a good chin, good punching power. He can jab a bit, he can fight a bit. He's a solid enough all-rounder, Lucas Browne. But for me, his stamina's very poor. His defence is very poor. And in terms of how far I can see him going in his career, I can see him beating Ruslan Chagaev. But I would pick the vast majority of top 15 heavyweights against Lucas Browne. And the reason I'd pick them against Lucas Browne, funnily enough, is because I view Lucas Browne's weaknesses the same way that I would say Browne's weaknesses are what Dwyer was referring to as his strengths. So I would say his weaknesses are lack of mobility, lack of movement. That hand being low when it throws to jab. For me, his defence is an issue. Lucas Browne does the right things in terms of throwing punches, but he does it too slowly. He does it too sloppily. He doesn't maintain his defence when he throws it. He's quite limited in terms of the punch variety he throws at times. He's quite a predictable, slow, plodding fighter. He's not going to move around the ring. He's not going to confuse you. He's not going to show great hand speed or great angles. I've got to say, I just disagree with Dwyer there. For me, Lucas Browne versus Bermane Stiverne, at this point, and it's a close fight given how poor Bermane Stiverne was last time out, but at this point I'd still be siding with Bermane Stiverne. I think Stiverne is a much more technically advanced, clever boxer than Lucas Browne. And I think, realistically, Stiverne could work him out, Stiverne could have better angles, and Stiverne could counterpunch him. Hughie Fury versus Lucas Browne. Again, it's a close fight, it could go either way. Hughie's never fought anyone at Browne's level. But again, I'd edged Hughie Fury. I just think he's smarter boxer, better technically. I think he can move a bit more. I think he's got a more accurate jab. I think he's got better fundamentals, realistically. And the list goes on. I don't think he'd do any better against Tyson Fury than we've seen Derek Chisora or Christian Hamer try and do. A fighter like Bryant Jennings, I think, would have too much movement, too much athleticism, for Browne to handle. A guy like Mike Perez, with that technical background, that sort of accuracy, the durability. I'm picking all these guys to beat Lucas Browne at the minute. And I could go further, to name a few more. Tony Thompson, I'm picking him over Lucas Browne. Deontay Wilder, I'm picking him over Lucas Browne. Malik Scott, I know Scott could get caught and the fight could be over, but on the balance of probability, based on Scott's performance against Leopai, I'm still picking him. Dwyer gets a lot of these predictions right. I remember when he picked Tony Thompson to beat David Price at stupid odds. I wasn't agreeing with him then, so I could be wrong here. And I do agree that on the balance of probability, Lucas Browne will probably get the job done against Ruslan Chagaev. But in my opinion, it's likely that that's when the Browne train ends. And for me, the first time he faces someone who's genuine top 10 level, he's going to get beat. He's not athletic enough. He's not got the feet. He's not got the hand speed. He's not got the defence. He's not got the stamina. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks very much for watching.